Most people think oppression looks like boots and batons, but the modern kind shows up with warm lighting, a wellness slogan, and an app that congratulates you for shrinking. I was arrested for trespassing during a human rights protest, and the court gave me a choice: jail or a compliance conditioning program designed to help me become sustainable. It worked, and that's what terrifies me most. And now the record begins here. The courtroom smelled like old paper and lemon disinfectant, covered, not clean, like someone had tried to scrub a stain out of a place that didn't believe in stains. I sat with my hands folded, the way my public defender told me to, the way women are always told to. Make yourself smaller, look remorseful, don't give them a reason to call you difficult. Across the aisle, my friend sat 3 rows back, shoulders pressed together, eyes fixed forward, like they could will the judge into remembering what justice was supposed to mean. I didn't look at them long. I didn't want anyone to call this a performance, because it wasn't. I hadn't trespassed for attention. I had trespassed because the doors were locked, because the people inside had made it clear they'd rather let the world forget what was happening than open those doors and admit it. We needed the footage they refused to release, screams on a security tape labeled equipment malfunction. That was the point. You don't ask politely to be seen when someone has built an entire system around not seeing you. The bailiff shifted near the wall. Leather creaked. A radio murmured. Somewhere behind me, someone coughed and swallowed it fast, like even illness had to be quiet in here. The judge, Honorable Martin Ellery, adjusted his glasses and studied the file in front of him as if it contained the secret to my soul. He didn't look angry. My skin prickled anyway. Anger would have been honest. Anger would have meant I'd gotten under his skin. This was the calm of a man who believed the world was already arranged correctly, and any deviation was just malfunction. Ms. Ketter, he said, my last name landing like a verdict, you've been charged with trespassing. He flipped a page slowly, like fear had never rushed him. Your counsel has argued that your actions were nonviolent. I almost laughed. Nonviolent, like that was a consolation prize. Like violence was only fists and fire, never policy, paperwork, locked doors, time. Yes, Your Honor, my lawyer murmured. The judge lifted his eyes. For the first time he looked directly at me. I held his gaze, unblinking, unapologetic. His mouth tightened, barely, as he leaned forward. Ms. Ketter, he said again, something rehearsed in his voice. The court recognizes your convictions. Convictions. He said it like he was complimenting a child's drawing. However, he continued, the law is not a suggestion. Trespassing is not an acceptable form of civil engagement. My fingernails bit into my palm. I wanted to speak, to tell him that what I'd done was the only form of engagement left when people in power decided silence was a feature, not a flaw. My lawyer's hand brushed my elbow. A warning. I swallowed it. The judge tapped the folder once. 120 days, he said. The air shifted. My stomach dropped. Jail. I had prepared myself for jail. Concrete, fluorescent lights, boredom sharp enough to cut. The small humiliations that add up until your name doesn't feel like yours. I could endure that. 120 days, he repeated, then added almost casually, unless you elect to complete an alternative sentencing program. My lawyer straightened. I didn't. My body stayed perfectly still, like a prey animal waiting to see if the predator noticed it breathing. Alternative sentencing? My lawyer asked. The judge's expression softened by a fraction, like the question had been anticipated. There is a program, he said, offered through the Center for Human Optimization, a structured rehabilitation track designed for individuals who exhibit recurring patterns of oppositional behavior. My mouth went dry. Oppositional was what they called you when you wouldn't stop asking why. It is called the Compliance Conditioning Program. The word settled in my chest like a weight. Compliance conditioning. My lawyer glanced at me as if to say, "This is good. This is a gift. A program, a second chance." I knew that language. Accept this, or we will show you what happens when you don't. What does this program entail? My lawyer asked. Weekly sessions, the judge said. Digital accountability tools, behavior reinforcement mapping, habit formation protocols. He said it like he was describing a gym membership. It is non-custodial, he added. You would remain in your home, maintain employment, be supervised by a licensed compliance specialist. Compliance specialist, not therapist, not counselor. Behind me, my friends shifted. I could feel their hope rising like a tide. Simone won't have to go to jail. Maybe that should have been enough, but something about the way he said compliance made my skin crawl. Not because I didn't understand it, because I did, because I'd seen what people become when they were trained to stop resisting. They didn't become evil, they became easy. The judge folded his hands. His voice softened, just enough to sound compassionate. Ms. Ketter, your passion is not on trial. My throat tightened. Your pattern is. Pattern. Like I was a behavioral problem. Like I was a broken machine. My lawyer leaned closer. Simone, this is a very good option. I stared at the judge. He stared back, calm and certain. You will be required to complete the program in full, he said. Failure to comply will result in immediate reinstatement of the custodial sentence. There it was, the teeth. I didn't like the idea of being watched, tracked, measured, corrected. I didn't like the idea of being turned into something manageable. But I liked jail less, and I liked the thought of disappearing, being removed from the streets, from the noise, from the fight, least of all. I swallowed. I'll do it, I said. The judge nodded once, satisfied, like a system clicking into place. You will report to intake within 48 hours, he said. The court will receive progress reports at regular intervals. Progress reports, like I was a project. He lifted the gavel. Court is adjourned. The wood cracked like finality. People stood, papers shuffled, relief spilled out in shaky smiles and whispered thank yous. Leah touched my shoulder. Simone, she said, voice thick, You're not going to jail. I looked at her hand on my arm, tried to smile, tried to feel relief. Instead, all I could think was, they didn't want to punish me. They wanted to fix me. The compliance conditioning program headquarters didn't look like punishment. It looked like success. Glass walls, young trees, perfectly trimmed hedges, soft curves, an expensive kind of transparency, a place designed to make you feel safe while you were being measured. No fence, no metal detectors, no barking dogs. The doors slid open before I touched them. Inside, the air smelled faintly of citrus and something floral I couldn't place. The lighting was warm in the way that makes everyone look healthier than they feel. A woman at the front desk smiled like she'd been waiting all morning for the privilege of being my first point of contact with redemption. "Simone Ketter?" she asked. "Yes." "Welcome," she said. "We're so glad you're here." Glad, like I'd signed up. She slid a tablet across the counter. "Just a few forms, then we'll get you set up with your onboarding specialist. Name, date of birth, address, emergency contact, court referral ID, bold and unavoidable. Then, pronouns, learning styles, goals. A drop-down list of goals like I was shopping for a better personality. Improve routine stability, enhance emotional regulation, support reintegration outcomes. Reintegration, like I'd been removed from society. I selected reduce impulsive decision-making just to move on. The consent form came next. 7 pages. The kind of consent that came with a scroll bar. The kind that counted on your exhaustion. Compliance conditioning program. Informed participation agreement. Because better outcomes aren't just possible, they're achievable. Data collection, behavioral tracking, biometric monitoring, wrapped in wellness language soft enough to choke on. Participants acknowledge that discomfort may occur during growth. There was the waiver for pain, then the line that made my throat close. Participants acknowledge that program completion requires full engagement with reinforcement systems and behavioral recalibration protocols. A nice way to say, we will adjust you until you stop doing what we don't like. I signed anyway. Consent under threat isn't consent, it's paperwork. The receptionist took the tablet back without looking. "Perfect," she said. "You're doing great." Doing great. I hadn't even started. The door opened to the left and a man stepped out. 30s, dark hair, soft eyes, the kind of face people trusted without realizing they were doing it. His lanyard read Compliance Specialist in small, neat lettering. "Simone?" he asked. "Hi, I'm Adrian. I'll be your compliance specialist." He offered his hand. His grip was warm, normal. I hated that. Normal meant if I felt afraid, it was my own fault. "Come on back," Adrian said. "We'll do your baseline screening, get your device set up, and talk through what success looks like for you." Success. As if my definition mattered. I followed him down a hallway lined with framed quotes designed to make you feel guilty for being human. Consistency creates freedom. Discipline is self-respect. Peace is a skill. At the end, he opened a door marked CCP Intake, Private. Inside was a small office, comfortable chair, white noise machine, a plant that looked too glossy to be real. A box sat on the desk. "Sit wherever you feel most comfortable," Adrian said. I chose the chair farthest from the door. He sat across from me, tablet in hand, posture relaxed, like a man who'd learned how to look harmless. I know the justice system can be intense, he said, and I want you to know this program isn't about punishment. It's about support. Support doesn't usually come with a custodial sentence attached. I didn't say it. Adrian continued, like my skepticism had been anticipated and filed. You have a lot of strengths, he said. Strong convictions, high persistence, low tolerance for injustice. My spine stiffened. Those weren't things I'd told him. He tapped the tablet. Your file indicates long-term involvement in community advocacy. That's not a crime, I said. No, he agreed. Of course not. Then softer. But the way you express it can sometimes become self-sabotaging. There it was, the hook, the language that turned my values into symptoms. Adrian opened the box. Inside was a sleek, wearable band, matte gray, elegant, like a fitness tracker designed by someone who wanted you to forget it was watching. This is your CCP device, he said. It's non-invasive. It tracks basic biometrics, so we can tailor reinforcement appropriately. Reinforcement. My skin prickled. Before you put it on, we'll do a baseline affect screening, he said. No right or wrong answers. He turned the tablet toward me. When you think about the incident that brought you here, what do you feel? Anger, fear, guilt, shame, grief, satisfaction, pride, regret, relief. I slid pride higher. The tablet chimed. A pleasant sound, approval-shaped. How often do you experience urges to engage in disruptive civic behavior? I don't have urges, I said. I make choices. Adrian nodded. Of course. Like he was humoring me. If you were prevented from protesting in the future, how distressed would you feel? I lied, not to cheat, to avoid giving them a map of me. I slid it low. The tablet chimed again, and my chest loosened. I froze. That wasn't relief. That was a reward. Great, Adrian said calmly. You're doing really well. The office felt too quiet, the plant too glossy, the white noise machine too gentle. Adrian picked up the band. Hold out your wrist. I didn't move. You said it wasn't invasive, I said. It isn't, he replied easily. No needles, no medication, no coercion. No coercion? I repeated. He nodded, then almost casually. Simone, you chose this. My stomach turned. I held out my wrist. The band clicked closed. Perfect fit, not tight, not loose, measured. My phone vibrated in my pocket. A new app icon had appeared. CCP. A notification slid across the screen. Good afternoon, Simone. Baseline established. First reinforcement window begins now. My breath caught. I looked up at Adrian. Any questions? He asked. I stared at him, then asked the only one that mattered. What happens, I said quietly, if I don't want to be fixed? Adrian's smile softened. Simone, he said, we're not fixing you. He tapped the tablet. The screen went dark. We're helping you become sustainable. Sustainable, like my resistance was a fire hazard. I nodded once, not because I agreed, because I understood, and because something in my gut finally settled into place. This wasn't a program, it was a machine, and I had just put my wrist inside it. The first night I slept, not the shallow, twitchy half-sleep I'd been living on for months. I slept. 8 hours, no nightmares, no looping thoughts, no adrenaline spikes at 3:11 a.m. My body sank straight through the mattress and didn't fight its way back out until morning. For one soft, stupid moment, I thought, maybe this will help. Then I felt the band on my wrist. My phone buzzed. Good morning, Simone. Sleep optimization plus 17%. Affect stability plus 9%. A badge bloomed on the screen. First night success. My jaw wasn't clenched when I woke up. For the first time in months, my body wasn't braced for impact. My breathing was slow, even. The room felt gentler around the edges, like someone had turned down the sharpness of the world. I smiled into my pillow before I could stop myself. And I understood why people handed themselves over. I rolled out of bed, joints loose and cooperative in a way that felt unfamiliar. It wasn't just sleep. It was relief. The kind you start believing you don't deserve unless you behave. But this had been given, not earned. Gifts from institutions always came with strings. In my bathroom mirror, my face looked almost gentle. That bothered me. My phone lit again. Today's micro goal: reduce external friction. Suggestion: avoid high conflict environments for 24 hours. High conflict environments, protests, meetings, anything urgent, anything alive. I locked my phone and made coffee anyway, like routine could anchor me to myself. Leah had texted late the night before. How's intake? Are you okay? We're meeting tonight at 7. My chest tightened. Before I could answer, the phone chimed, too fast, like it had been waiting. Before responding, pause and assess. Is this choice aligned with your stability goals? I froze. It wasn't just sending prompts. It was reacting to Leah, to the meeting, to my impulse to answer. I typed anyway. Intake was fine. I'm okay. I'll let you know about tonight. The moment I hit send, my chest loosened. Instantly, like a knot being cut. I stared at the screen, hands going cold. That wasn't relief from communication. That was reinforcement. Another badge appeared. Low friction response, +5. I set the phone down like it was hot. At 11:43 a.m., the app pinged again. How likely are you to engage in disruptive civic behavior today? A slider, 0 to 100%. I stared at it longer than I wanted to admit. Then, deliberately, I slid it higher, 72%. The instant I lifted my finger, my skin prinkled under the band like static. My heart jumped, my stomach clenched. Thank you for your honesty. Initiating pattern disruption intervention. Recommended action, breathing exercise, 2 minutes. My body was already doing what the program wanted, reacting. Not panic, discomfort, a controlled burn meant to make resistance taste like pain. I tapped dismiss. Intervention declined. Noted. Noted, like a tally mark. Reminder, engagement improves outcomes. I gripped the counter until my fingers hurt. Then I tested it. I opened Leah's message again. We're meeting tonight at 7. I typed, I'm coming. The apartment tilted, not dramatically, just enough. The air thickened, my chest compressed. Silence pressed in, heavy and expectant, like I'd said something unforgivable. The app slid open. Detected escalation pathway. Initiating stabilization protocol. 3 options appeared, neat as a menu. Delay attendance, request remote participation, cancel and prioritize recovery. Underneath, choosing stability now prevents relapse later. Relapse, like protest, was an addiction. My body leaned toward the relief waiting on the other side. I could feel it, warm, immediate, conditional. I refused to choose. I sat with the discomfort, counted breaths, waiting until the spike stopped climbing. Then I did the one thing I could still control. I turned my phone off. The screen went black. My heart kept racing anyway, because the system didn't need the phone on to work. The band stayed warm, harmless. That was the problem. I stared at it and said aloud to my empty kitchen, "Okay, so that's what you are." I turned the phone back on. The app reopened instantly. Stabilization protocol incomplete. Non-compliance increases distress. I tapped. Request remote participation. Relief hit so fast it almost made me dizzy. Stability choice, +10. Excellent work, Simone. I understood then. This wasn't about making me stop protesting. It was about making me compromise, one small compromise at a time, until the person I used to be was too far behind me to find. I grabbed a notebook, paper, unsynced, unqualified, and wrote, "Counter conditioning. Rule number 1, stop giving it clean data. Rule number 2, never let relief be the reward for betrayal. Rule number 3, build my own reinforcement. Rule number 4, if it can measure it, it can control it." I underlined the last line twice, hard enough to dent the page. My phone buzzed again. Consistency creates freedom. I stared at the words until my eyes stung. Then I opened the app again, not to comply, to study. Reinforcement mapping. My day broken into blocks. Green, stable choices. Yellow, risk exposure. Red, escalation pathway. The meeting glowed yellow. Recommended adjustment. Reduce engagement frequency by 12%. Not stop, shave. At the bottom of the screen. Deception indicators. None. My stomach dropped. It wasn't just tracking what I did. It was tracking whether I meant it. Authenticity index 92%. High authenticity improves outcomes. It wanted more than compliance. It wanted my internal surrender. I set the phone down and stared at the band on my wrist. Matte gray, warm enough to remind me it was listening. If it wanted to train me, fine. I would become unreadable. Not by screaming, by becoming noise, static, a perfect participant until I wasn't. And when the program went looking for my resistance, it would find the same thing the court had found. Not a tantrum, a pattern, a decision. By 6:58 p.m., my apartment looked like I was preparing for an interview. Not for Leah, for the program. Laptop open, phone beside it. The CCP band cool on my wrist. Quiet, innocent, like it hadn't spent all day nudging my nervous system into obedience. Leah's last message sat at the top of my inbox. "We'll miss you. Please don't disappear." The program didn't respond. That was worse. At 6:59, my phone lit up. CCP, pre-engagement check. Remote participation selected. Support level, high. High, like my friends were radioactive. I clicked the link. A grid of faces filled the screen. Tired, determined, stubbornly alive. Coffee mugs, dim rooms, people who'd learned how to keep going without believing it would work. "Simone," Leah said, relief cracking her voice. "Oh my God, hi." I smiled, real, also practiced. "Hey, are you okay?" she asked. "How was intake?" I could feel the program watching through my pulse, my breath, the tiny pauses between words. "It's like probation," I said carefully, "but with an app." Leah's mouth tightened. "That's insane." I laughed softly. My phone chimed. "De-escalation success +6. Excellent emotional regulation." Not excellence, survival. Martin started outlining the next action. Bigger, cleaner, harder to dismiss. Permits, marshals, legal observers. I listened. I nodded. And something in me stayed flat. Not gone, turned down. Martin said, "We have to keep pressure on them. If we let up, they'll bury this." Normally, that would have lit a fuse in my chest. Tonight, it slid past me. Leah spoke next. "We need more bodies, people who aren't scared." Her eyes flicked towards the camera, toward me. I opened my mouth. The band warmed. The app followed. Active support, rising activation detected, choosing a stabilization phrase. A list appeared, neat and compassionate and lethal. "I hear you. That makes sense. I'm doing my best. I need time. I can't commit right now." They weren't lies. That was the point. They were truths shaped like retreat. I met Leah's eyes. "I hear you," I said. "I'm doing my best. I can't commit in person right now, but I can help with outreach." Safe connection achieved, +8. Leah nodded, relief flickering across her face like a candle catching. "Okay," she said softly. "Okay, that helps." The meeting wound down. Faces disappeared. Screens went dark. Leah stayed. "Simone," she said, quieter now, "just be careful." "I am," I said. "We need you." "I know." The call ended. My apartment felt too large afterward, like a room after music stops. My phone buzzed immediately. CCP, post-engagement summary. Connection maintained, yes. Conflict exposure, low. Activation managed, high. Outcome, positive. A reward unlocked. Calm window, 30 minutes. Calm flooded me so fast it almost made me dizzy. It was beautiful. That was the horror. It was the peace my body had been begging for, and it arrived as a reward for shrinking. I grabbed my notebook and wrote, "Calm is a cage if they hold the key." Then, rule number 5, they will call isolation healing. Rule number 6, calm is not freedom. My phone chimed again. Consistency creates freedom. I turned it face down. and whispered into the empty apartment, "You're not getting me for free." I slept that night. That's the part they always leave out. I slept through the things that usually kept me sharp. I woke up without the familiar ache in my jaw. My body felt lighter, cooperative, like it had finally stopped arguing with itself. And for a few minutes, lying there in the dark, I thought, maybe this is what getting better feels like. That was when I understood the real danger, not the tracking, not the data, not even the punishment waiting if I failed. The danger was the relief, because the moment my body learned that compliance felt like peace, the program didn't have to force me anymore. It could just wait. And in part 2, you'll hear what happens when the system decides you're ready for more support, when the leash tightens politely, when the silence is called healing, when the cost of caring becomes measurable. Part 2 is called "And It Took Everything Else." The record continues there.